In March 2011, Jacksonville, Florida, became the epicenter of one of the most heartbreaking and controversial juvenile criminal cases in American history. A toddler was dead, and his older brother, Christian Fernandez, only 12 years old at the time, was charged with first-degree murder. The world would soon be gripped by the story of a boy thrust into adulthood in the most unimaginable way. The case would challenge the moral fabric of the justice system, raising a question that would haunt everyone. Could a boy, who had known nothing but pain and trauma, truly be held responsible for a crime born of the very abuse he had suffered? March 14, 2011. It was a Monday afternoon when 2-year-old David Galarraga was left in the care of his older half-brother, Christian Fernandez. Their mother, 25-year-old Bianella Susana, was running errands, trusting Christian with his younger sibling despite knowing that just months earlier, Christian had broken David's leg while wrestling. What happened next would change both their lives forever. The exact sequence of events from that fateful day remains murky, but the essential facts are clear. Christian, in a moment of rage or panic, pushed David into a bookshelf, not once but twice. The violent act left David unconscious, his small body unable to withstand the force. When Bianella returned, Christian led her to his brother, hoping for help. But instead of rushing David to the hospital, Bianella chose to change his clothes, clean the blood from his face, and put ice on his head, hoping he would simply wake up. For over 4 hours, she did nothing substantial to save her son's life. During that time, she surfed the internet, checked her email, and even looked up articles about concussions and comas. But she did not call 911. By the time she finally drove David to the hospital, it was too late. David fought for his life for 2 days before succumbing to his injuries, which included a severe skull fracture and brain hemorrhage. He died on March 16, 2011. A mother's negligence. As details of the case emerged, one of the most shocking revelations was Bianella's inaction. Medical professionals later stated that had she sought immediate medical attention, David might have survived. This negligence led to her being charged with aggravated manslaughter of a child, as she had not only failed to act, but had left David in the care of Christian, knowing full well that he had a history of harming his brother. But the story did not end there. Authorities turned their focus to Christian, and soon after David's death, he was charged with first-degree murder. The question now was whether a child as young as 12 should face such a serious charge and, more disturbingly, whether he should be tried as an adult. Christian's troubled past. To understand Christian Fernandez's crime, one must first understand the horrors of his childhood. Christian was born on January 14, 1999, to a 12-year-old mother, Bianella, and a 20-year-old father, Jose Antonio Fernandez. From birth, Christian was surrounded by chaos, neglect, and abuse. His father, a convicted sex offender due to his relationship with Bianella, vowed to raise his son but soon disappeared from his life. Christian was left in the care of his teenage mother and grandmother, who struggled with drug addiction. By the time Christian was 2, authorities had already intervened in his life. He and his mother were placed in foster care after Christian was found wandering outside a Florida motel, naked and alone. Things did not improve from there. When Christian was 7, his mother married a man named Luis Galarraga Blanco, who would become a source of even more trauma for Christian. Luis was not only physically abusive, but also suspected of sexually abusing Christian. In October 2010, Christian arrived at school with a swollen eye, the result of a punch from Luis. Just days later, police arrived at the family's home to arrest Luis. When they entered the apartment, they found Luis dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, having committed suicide in front of Christian and his siblings. That moment of horror was just one of many in Christian's life, but it was perhaps the most defining. Christian, already emotionally underdeveloped and traumatized, was left to cope with the aftermath of witnessing such violence. Doctors later determined that Christian had been the victim of long-term physical and sexual abuse. making him emotionally damaged, but reformable. The debate over justice. Despite the overwhelming evidence of Christian's traumatic upbringing, State Attorney Angela Corey made the controversial decision to charge Christian as an adult. Her reasoning was that, regardless of his past, Christian had committed a violent crime that resulted in the death of his brother, and the severity of the crime warranted adult prosecution. But the decision ignited a fierce debate. How could a system designed to protect children turn around and condemn one to life in prison without parole? Child advocates and psychologists argued that Christian was not beyond saving, and that prosecuting him as an adult would only further the cycle of abuse. They pointed out that children as young as Christian do not have fully developed brains and often do not understand the consequences of their actions in the same way adults do. They also argued that Christian's crime was directly linked to the abuse and neglect he had endured, and he deserved a chance at rehabilitation, not life imprisonment. Angela Corey, however, stood firm in her belief that trying Christian as a juvenile, which would mean his release at 21, was not enough. She argued that plenty of children come from abusive homes, but do not commit such heinous acts of violence. Trial and outcome. Christian's trial was set to become one of the most contentious in the country. In a major win for Christian's defense team, a judge threw out statements Christian had made during a police interrogation, ruling that the boy did not fully understand his rights or the gravity of the situation. This ruling dealt a blow to the prosecution's case. In February 2013, Christian took a plea deal, admitting guilt to manslaughter in exchange for a sentence within the juvenile justice system. The deal meant that Christian would be released on his 19th birthday with the chance for rehabilitation. While the deal angered some who believed Christian deserved harsher punishment, it was a victory for his advocates, who believed the boy had suffered enough. Bianella Susana, Christian's mother, also faced trial for her role in David's death. In August 2013, she received a 10-year suspended sentence and probation, meaning she would not serve additional prison time but would lose custody of her remaining children. The terms of the agreement also stipulated that she could not contact Christian without legal supervision. Christian Fernandez today. On January 15, 2018, one day after his 19th birthday, Christian Fernandez was released from the Department of Juvenile Justice. His case had changed the way the nation viewed juvenile prosecution, highlighting the complex intersection of trauma, crime, and justice. Upon his release, Christian was required to adhere to strict probation terms, including holding a job, enrolling in school, and maintaining minimal contact with his family. However, his defense team successfully lobbied for counseling and treatment, ensuring Christian would receive the help he needed to reintegrate into society. The tragic case of Christian Fernandez continues to serve as a reminder of the devastating consequences of abuse and the difficult questions the justice system must grapple with when dealing with juvenile offenders. Was justice served by prosecuting a broken child? Or was the real failure in a system that couldn't protect him from the horrors of his early life? The answers remain as complex as Christian's story itself. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of our deep dives into important and controversial cases. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed and take care.